Part 43. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhenshen. Chapter 421. According to Murphy's Law, the less you want something to happen, the more likely it is to happen. It is commonly known as the crow's mouth. Thor's worries really became a reality, and Xiao Ming really met Loki. However, many things happened before the two met. Changed the situation of the entire battle. Xiao Ming's scan map includes New York City and even a large area around it. He knows the situation on the battlefield very well. It's a pity that the skill of scanning the map cannot pass through the space gate, otherwise he can go to see what is on the other side of the space-time gate. In terms of ninjutsu, once the shadow clone is made, he has no spiritual communication with the original body before he dies. However, as long as the uniformed mind beasts are still within the range of the circle, they are still under Xiao Ming's control. They are semi-automatic mind beasts. With the help of uniformed mind beasts to communicate, Xiao Ming can adjust the deployment of the Orc Girl army at any time according to the situation he has mastered. In this way, fighting is really like being assisted by God. The mind beasts play the essence of guerrilla warfare, avoid the real and attack the virtual, concentrate their strength, and eliminate the enemy's weak forces. Besides, they would be surrounded by the enemy army. If they were surrounded, they would self-destruct. The self-destruction of the shadow clone is several times stronger than the previous telekinetic bomb. Oh, the explosion made the Chitauri almost doubt their lives. Ordinary Chitauri warriors did not know telekinetic beasts, and they just felt that there were too many enemies who were so desperate that they would self-destruct at the slightest disagreement. Damn, how could such a race be conquered? I heard that there are billions of people on the earth, and the population of the Chitauri is not enough for them to explode. Morale inevitably fell. Once there is one, there will be two. Another blow comes from high-end combat power. The originally powerful dragon battleships, for some reason, lay down in a daze. They were all sleeping there, almost snot bubbles. Not only did they not play their combat effectiveness, but they also forced the Chitauri soldiers to concentrate their forces to protect these dragons. It's really a cry without tears. But the bad luck of the Chitauri people has not ended. During the fight, the sleeping dragon turned over and woke up. Isn't it a good thing to wake up? But this dragon was too angry when it woke up. After waking up, it launched a fierce attack on the Chitauri soldiers. A roll on the spot, dozens of soldiers were crushed into meat paste. What kind of play is this? Both sides of the war were a little confused. Then the Earth side was jubilant and surprised. We have been bullied by the Chitauri dragon, and now we have a dragon. No matter why it rebelled, we can finally retaliate now. Why is this so? In fact, it is also very simple. The place where a dragon is sleeping happens to be relatively close to Xiao Ming's body. It feels clearer. The feeling of the dragon to Xiao Ming, Why is it so much like the Zerg? The physical attributes of the dragon's body are basically around level 5. But its weakness is too obvious. Its mental power is not even level 2. No wonder it was defeated by a few spells. This level of mental power should not be able to resist the skill Zerg Conquer. This skill was named by Xiao Ming himself. This skill is effective for conquering Zerg, and it can actually be used for other races. It's just a little more difficult. The lower the opponent's soul strength and mental power, the higher the chance of success in conquering. Of course, sleeping or enchanted objects are more likely to be hit. The mental power consumed by Xiao Ming to conquer a Chitauri dragon is about the same as conquering 3 Zerg flying dragons. After conquering, Xiao Ming and the dragon have a mental connection. No spells are needed. It wakes up with a shout in the mind. Turn around and start to attack the Chitauri frantically. This is of course not the first dragon battleship that Xiao Ming has conquered. Seeing such an advantage, Xiao Ming can't hide. Putting on the invisible suit and mental shield, Xiaoming wandered around the battlefield and conquered one Chitauri dragon after another. He also subdued two Chitauri soldiers, but found that they were too exhausted and not strong in combat. Later, he stopped targeting them. The situation on the battlefield also changed dramatically. The Mind Beasts and the Avengers turned to rely on the protection of the dragons and launched attacks on the Chitauri warriors. This can be said to be the turning point of the entire New York battle. When the first dragon battleship defected, the Chitauri did not take timely countermeasures. After a total of 7 or 8 dragons rebelled, Xiaoming and the Avengers had the advantage in high-end combat power. If the Chitauri want to deal with the dragons, they must dispatch an equal force, that is, another dragon battleship. But we have 2 dragons, each hiding a group of fox girls and butterfly girls. If you are unlucky enough to encounter their dragons, you will fall asleep immediately. Don't worry if you haven't encountered them, just fight first, and these 2 dragons will take the initiative to help. The sleeping dragon will undoubtedly be subdued by Xiaoming and join the battlefield. When 16 of our dragon warships were wandering in the sky, the situation was irreversible. After all, the space gate was only so big, and at most 3 dragon warships could come at a time. And they had to line up to pass through the space gate, otherwise they would easily collide with each other. If the flight was not standardized, the relatives would cry. There was no need for the orc girl's magic. 7 or 8 dragons took turns to hit him, and the newcomer fell into a coma due to concussion. However, the position of the space door is too high, and the dragons that fell down after falling unconscious were basically killed. So they could not be subdued. However, Xiaoming did not let go of these corpses and directly put them into the bright summit. This is not the real world, but the secret realm of high magic. Xiaoming's bright summit is not more than 400 cubic meters in reality, but 400,000 cubic meters. It is enough to accommodate many dragons. Loki saw that things were not going well and wanted to use his scepter to subdue the dragon again. But he couldn't get close to the flying dragon. Besides, the dragon was covered in armor, and Loki couldn't find a place to attack during the battle. At the same time, the other Avengers were not freeloaders. Seeing Loki's actions, they would naturally come to stop him. Loki had no choice but to use the help of the Phantom to divert the attention of the Avengers. He hurried back to the Stark building and prepared to take the space gem and run away. It was here that he met Xiaoming. To be precise, he met the Asgardian possessed by Xiaoming. How did Xiaoming get here? In the previous scan map, Xiaoming had already discovered the abnormality of Stark Tower. The location of the space gem and the scepter in Loki's hand were 2 bright light bulbs in the scan. It was super clear, so of course Xiaoming had to come and take a look. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 422. The space gem and Loki's scepter gave Xiaoming a feeling of longing. This feeling is similar to the Fuxi Qin that the 3 races of humans, gods, and insects fought for back then. The Fuxi Qin is a cosmic treasure in reality and in the distant space. Xiaoming has never seen it straight. What he felt was just the feeling of the 3 members from the 3 races towards the Fuxi Qin. That was an indirect feeling. After the reincarnation space helped Xiaoming fuse the yellow source energy seed, what Xiaoming got was actually just a very, very small fragment. Even if it was from the Fuxi Qin, it no longer had the huge and magnificent feeling of the original Fuxi Qin. This source energy seed did not shock Xiaoming much. Both of his own source energies exceeded this new one. Now, Xiaoming is in the secret realm of the Magic Planet game. This place is virtual. The space gem that appeared in the secret realm and the mind gem in the scepter, the game system only simulated the feeling of a magic weapon with powerful energy and characteristics. So Xiaoming felt that these 2 vague feelings were similar. These differences between reality and virtuality. Xiaoming's Taoism certainly couldn't figure it out. but he didn't think that there would be a universe-level treasure like Fuxican in the secret realm of the game. The only thing that can be confirmed is that these two things should be super awesome. In fact, he had passed by the space gem in the secret realm of Captain America 1 before. At that time, Xiaoming didn't know how to scan the map, so he used his telepathic ability circle to just feel the power of the space gem a little bit, and was scared away. At that time, he didn't even dare to yearn for it. Now he can tell that the one who really has huge energy is just the blue cube in front of him. Not any life form. There's no need to be too scared. The blue cube is placed in a strange machine, and Dr. Eric Seeviger, who is busy standing next to the machine, is just an ordinary person. Xiaoming certainly didn't know who Dr. Eric was. Xiaoming easily discovered that Dr. Eric was in a state of confusion. So, Xiaoming, who was still invisible, raised his hand and gave him a Bing Xianju. Bing Xianju was a spell that Xiaoming learned from Li Xiaoyao in the world of Xianjian 1. Its function was to restore a calm and normal state of mind. Xiaoming had thought about using Zerg Conquer to take this seemingly smart guy as his own. However, after just a simple experience, he knew that he couldn't do it. Dr. Eric's state of confusion was affected by a power that was more powerful than the Zerg Conquer. If Xiaoming wanted to conquer Eric in a normal state, he couldn't do it with the Zerg Conquer. Now it's even worse. The possibility of an ordinary human being conquered by the Zerg is only 50-50. Zerg Conquer generally can't handle a scientist with a strong spirit. Xiaoming couldn't help but admire the buddy who confused Eric's mind. What a powerful magic ability. Of course, admiration is admiration, but destruction is still necessary. Although Eric cannot be subdued, it is not difficult to help him regain his sanity. After being baptized by the Ice Heart technique, Eric's expression condensed and he regained his consciousness. Then he fell into self-blame and regret, but soon, it seemed that he understood the situation on the scene. He hurried to the machine that opened the door of time and space to fiddle with it. Xiaoming, who was hidden on the side, watched Dr. Eric like a Sichuan opera face changing his expression constantly in just a few seconds. Xiaoming was still very cowardly and did not show up. He quietly walked to the side of the machine and reached out to touch the space gem directly. Of course, he wanted to get a bargain. Normally, if you want to break through the defense of this machine, you need the help of the scepter in Loki's hand. In fact, it is to use one infinite gem to affect another infinite gem. Xiaoming's strength may not be good, but in terms of authority, the authority brought by his source energy is quite high, especially the last yellow source energy. This simulated infinite gem can't stop him at all. What really stops Xiaoming is the game system. According to the settings of the game system, at this point in time, players cannot get infinite gems. Otherwise, how will the plot unfold in the future? So when Xiaoming's hand touched the space gem, he felt a huge energy rushing from the gem to his body. It's not hurting himself, but transforming and strengthening his body. This is probably the reward of the system, right? Xiaoming even found that not only his body as an Asgardian warrior was strengthened, but his source energy and mental power seemed to be nourished. Of course, the weakest yellow source energy was mainly nourished, and the improvement of the other two sources was so subtle that it was difficult to feel. In the midst of the energy surge, Xiaoming's invisible suit immediately failed, and Eric, who was busy, was scared and sat down on the ground. The machine was also forcibly closed, and the time and space gate in the sky no longer existed. In addition to the dozen dragon battleships that Xiaoming had subdued, all creatures from the Chitauri lost consciousness and fell to the ground. But Xiaoming didn't know about these things now. He was lying on the ground twitching all over, and could only feel the pain of his body being transformed. Fortunately, Xiaoming's three souls fell together, so naturally, the pain was borne by the three souls together. At this time, anyone can hurt Xiaoming's character, not to mention Loki, even the Avengers, who are now a threat. So he made a prompt decision and hid in Kunlun. Dr. Eric has opened his eyes. First, he was inexplicably freed from the control of the Mind Stone. When I was trying to figure out how to shut down the machine, a person suddenly appeared next to me and crashed the machine. It scared the shit out of myself. Can anyone else do this? Dr. Eric was shocked. Then I saw the man falling to the ground, twitching all over. Eric knew very well that this man destroyed the machine and closed the door to time and space. This is a great hero, how can you ignore it? But just when he got up and wanted to help, the man disappeared out of thin air. Eric stood on the spot, at a loss. WTF, can anyone tell me what is going on? Then many people expressed the same feeling. The first person to return to Stark Tower was Loki. He only had time to see Xiao Ming disappearing. Xiao Ming also saw him, but had no time to talk to him. The last scene I saw was Iron Man flying over and knocking Loki into the wall. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 423. This time, Loki is even more unlucky than in the original movie. Because Xiao Ming changed the comparison of the enemy's combat power very early, the Avengers had a home advantage in New York. The bosses of S.H.I.E.L.D. had no reason to launch nuclear bombs. To be honest, the decision to launch nuclear bombs in the movie was really stupid. Nuclear bombs can blow up New York and kill enemies on the battlefield. But they definitely can't deal with the Chitauri on the other side of the time-space gate. And based on the principle of nuclear bombs, how can we be sure that it can definitely destroy the time-space gate? What should we do if the enemy continues to send troops? Even if the time-space gate can be destroyed and the Chitauri cannot come. But there are two giants on the battlefield in New York, Thor and the Hulk. Can they be killed by nuclear bombs? If they can't be killed, who on earth can resist these two guys from going away? Let's take a step back and say that even if the nuclear bomb successfully kills them, the Hulk may not matter, but who is Thor? The son of the god King Odin. The heir to the throne of the Aesir. Even if New York is lost, as long as Thor stands on the side of the earth, he can still ask Asgard for reinforcements. How stupid must these leaders on Earth be to risk angering Odin and kill Thor? To make such a stupid decision. Of course, there is actually the guarantee of the Ancient One in the end. She will never let Thor die at the hands of the Earthlings. Tuko aside, in this secret realm, due to Xiao Ming's coquettish operation, the Battle of New York has become stronger on the Earth side. When Loki saw that the situation was not good and returned to Stark Tower, several Avengers also thought of this. Since they had the upper hand, of course they had to deal with the Space Stone. Loki and Iron Man rushed to Stark Tower one after another. Loki is a Protoss with strong magic ability. He saw Xiao Ming, who ruined his good deeds, at a glance. But in his eyes, he saw an Asgardian warrior. He actually knew him. This is one of the many intermediate warriors sent by Odin to Earth to secretly protect Thor, Lance Jacob. Among the Aesir, he was just a civilian warrior, and he never expected that this Lance Jacob could have such ability. Iron Man, who arrived later, didn't see anything. Xiao Ming had completely hidden in Kunlun. Because the battle went smoothly, there was still a lot of energy in Iron Man's mecha. Tony Stark did it without saying a word. Loki was caught off guard and was knocked against the wall. Among the Aesir, Loki is a magic master, and his illusions are superb. But he is not too weak in physics. Although his physical fitness is much worse than Thor, it is at least at the level of level 5. His fighting skills are even better. Don't look at Iron Man's iron shell. When the two fight together, Loki actually has the upper hand. But soon Black Widow and Captain America also appeared. Their physical fitness is only around level 3, which is not very strong. But with the protagonist's halo, they can also fight Loki for a few rounds. If 3 fight 1, Loki begins to fall behind. As the god of trickery, Loki should have slipped away long ago when he saw that the situation was not good. These people could not keep him. However, people die for money and birds die for food. He really couldn't bear to give up the space gem. Captain America and the other 3 saw his intention and kept him in a will battle to prevent him from touching the machine. In such a fierce battle, Loki didn't find a suitable gap to launch illusion. In the previous battle, his magic consumption was still very large. The hand-to-hand fight with the 3 Avengers entered a stalemate. Soon with a roar, a big green guy jumped in. The scene that everyone likes to see finally took place. Loki's ankle was grabbed by the Hulk, and then he was beaten hard. His body kissed the solid ground countless times, and the ground was broken by kissing. This time, the Hulk finally stomped on Loki's body twice, making him deeply embedded in the ground. Fortunately, Loki is a god, and his body is really strong enough. If it were someone else, even Captain America and his friends, they would have become meat sauce now. Although Loki saved his life, he was seriously injured and could not move. The physical injury was serious, but the mental blow seemed even greater. Loki lay there with his eyes blank, and the whole god was dumbfounded. Dr. Eric, how did you get out of Loki's control? Thanks to you turning off this machine, we can win this battle. Captain America saw that Loki had been dealt with, and the first thing he noticed was people. Seeing that there was only Dr. Eric here, and he didn't look like he was being controlled. Naturally, he gave the credit for turning off the machine to the doctor. No, the doctor hurriedly denied. He began to explain what he saw in detail. Iron Man put away his mask, listened to the doctor's words, and walked towards the machine that opened the space gate. Probably want to study it? Black Widow noticed the scepter thrown on the edge of the building, and walked up to pick it up. A hand suddenly stretched out in the field of vision and took the scepter first. Black Widow was shocked, and she took out her gun and pointed it at the person who took the scepter and shouted, "Who is it? Stop! Put it down and raise your hands." Captain America and others also heard Black Widow's exclamation, and turned around to find that she was confronting someone she had never seen before. That person also held Loki's scepter in his hand. At this time, Eric shouted, "Yes. It was him, he was the one who destroyed the machine." That's right, the one who appeared and picked up the scepter was Xiao Ming's character Lance Jacob. Xiao Ming hid in Kunlun, and the strengthening was completed quickly. Lance Jacob's physical fitness rose to the 5th level, which was stronger than Loki. Xiao Ming quietly came out of stealth, waiting for the opportunity to pick up a bargain, and secretly made some arrangements. It didn't take long for Loki to be defeated by the Hulk. Although Black Widow walked towards the fallen scepter at the first time, her speed was not as fast as Xiao Ming's instant body. Xiao Ming took the lead in building the scepter and took the initiative to show his figure. He originally planned to hide the scepter quietly, but the system gave him a new reminder that Loki's scepter was a trophy, and Xiao Ming only had the right to keep it for 3 days. As for the energy reward, the system had already paid it when he touched the space gem just now. Now there is no more. Since you can't keep it, what's the point of holding it yourself? Of course, you have to exchange some benefits. So Xiao Ming showed up. At this time, Black Widow, who was holding a gun to Xiao Ming, shouted again. "That scepter is the trophy of S.H.I.E.L.D., it does not belong to you. Hand it over, now. Otherwise I will shoot. As a gentleman, you'd better listen to the beauty." Iron Man on the side also stretched out his right hand and pointed it at Xiao Ming, with a faint light emitting from his palm. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 424. The strengthening in the game, especially in the secret realm, will not take too long. It will not really make the player feel too much pain. It's enough to get the point. So Xiao Ming's strengthening was completed not long after. After quietly coming out of Kunlun, Xiao Ming saw Loki being beaten. The scepter that was flashing like a big light bulb fell to the side. Naturally rushed over to get it in his hand. He didn't care at all whether it was embarrassing to snatch things from a beautiful woman. As a result, this beautiful woman was a thorn. She pointed the gun at him. Can Xiao Ming still be afraid of her? This is a rare opportunity to pretend to be 13. Xiao Ming put one hand behind his back and put on a relaxed posture. He smiled and asked Black Widow, "Are you sure?" His tone was so kind, but in the eyes of the Avengers, it was extremely dangerous. Because two Chitauri dragon battleships were rising on the left and right sides behind Xiao Ming. Then they slowly moved forward, forcing the Avengers to retreat again and again. Dozens of orc girls were standing on the dragon, all in a fighting posture. In the back, you can vaguely see more than a dozen dragons gathering here, ready to fight if they disagree. The real scary thing about the Chitauri is the endless reinforcements behind the time-space gate. I don't know how much strength they have behind them. The dozen dragon warships around Xiao Ming are not that scary. As long as there is a number, they can always be eliminated. If this matter was handled by those politicians in the United States or the black-hearted generals in the military, they would definitely find an excuse to take Xiao Ming down without hesitation. Whether it is sliced for research or something else, it is entirely up to them. However, the Avengers are not so shameless. The appearance of these dragons and orc girls shows a major fact. The main reason for the victory of this war was actually the unremarkable young man in front of him. In addition, Dr. Eric Seeviger also said that it was this person who destroyed the machine and closed the time-space gate. It can be said that he played the biggest and most crucial role in this battle. Even if all the Avengers were combined, they might not be able to match him. It was only natural for him to regard the scepter as his trophy, not to mention that he also left the Cosmic Cube Space Stone. For such a hero, why would they turn their swords against him for a little trophy? The Avengers would not do such a despicable thing. So they all let down their guard. Iron Man even took off his armor needed to replenish his energy. The most irritable Hulk was actually the simplest. When he saw the dragon with the orc girl standing on him, he immediately sat down and ignored it. Captain America, Iron Man, and Black Widow looked at each other for a few times. When they were thinking about how to talk, Thor saw the dragons gathering, so he also flew in. He had known the truth for a long time, so he didn't have any hostility. After coming in, he hugged Xiao Ming's character Lance Jacob and slapped him hard on the back. Fortunately, Lance's body had just been strengthened, and the 5th level advanced level could withstand Thor's fierce slaps. Ha ha ha, Lance, my friend. Well done. Thanks to you. When did you learn such magic? When Xiao Ming saw Thor coming, he beat his chest with one hand and bowed his head. Greetings, Your Highness. Then he presented the scepter in his hand. This scepter has the means to confuse people, please handle it properly, Your Highness. No problem, leave it to me. Thor took it carelessly. The Avengers who came from the earth over there suddenly felt relieved. Compared with this unknown Lance, Thor is much easier to fool. No, it should be said that it is easier to communicate. No wonder this guy named Lance is so powerful. It turns out that he is Thor's friend, and it seems that he is also his subordinate. It means that he is also a member of Asgard. In short, he is also a god. It is not surprising that gods have such abilities. The atmosphere relaxed, and the first person to rush over was Dr. Eric. Lance? Right. Please tell me, how did you shut down this machine? According to my research, you must use that scepter to do it. Why? Xiao Ming choked back all his questions with one word, magic. The whole day was just a dead end. Eric didn't understand magic, and Lance didn't understand science, so there was no way to discuss it. Of course, Xiaoming didn't know nothing about science, but he was not qualified to discuss it with these scientists. And he was very afraid of the attitude of scientists who would get to the bottom of things and stick to you. So he just hid his incompetence. Before, he was in Zhang Ziliang's body, and was harassed by that group of scientific researchers in the Emperor Galaxy. It's not too late to mend the fence after the sheep have been lost. The new Han military has no way out, but in this secret realm, Xiaoming will never let himself fall into that situation again. Taking advantage of the fact that those high and mighty politicians have not intervened, the Avengers quickly settled the issue of the distribution of the spoils. Thor and Lance accounted for more than 80% of the credit for the entire battle. It was enough for the Earthlings to get the alien weapons and corpses dropped by the Chitauri in New York. These things can greatly improve the technological level of the Earth in a few decades. They are of no use to Asgard. Just use them as a favor. However, the evil god Loki who caused this war was also a traitor from Asgard. Thor, who was obsessed with his brother, felt embarrassed, so he exchanged the scepter for Loki. Thor returned to Asgard with the cosmic cube and Loki. The scepter was left to S.H.I.E.L.D. for research. Xiaoming's character Lance did not choose to go back with Thor. To be honest, he was a little afraid to meet the god King Odin. In Xiaoming's opinion, Thor, with the special effects of the hammer, was a real A-level master, and was probably on par with Zhang Zhong. And his foundation was very strong, not a master made like the reincarnation. Although Zhang Zhong was also made in a sense. However, the foundation of the Zerg is the powerful fighting instinct of the Zerg. Zhang Zhong's strength is also real. Thor is already so powerful, what kind of existence will the god King Odin be? Will he be suspected by him? In fact, Xiaoming was overthinking. The system must give the player a problem-free identity background. Even if he meets Odin, he will not doubt him. However, because of his strong strength, Odin may give him some other arrangements. The ugly daughter-in-law is a little afraid of meeting her parents-in-law. Xiaoming decided to delay it for a while. Anyway, Xiaoming stayed on Earth. The excuse was that he had to be there so that the Chitauri dragon warships would not make trouble. He could only stay to calm them down. The Avengers from Earth all agreed. Thor had no objection to this. It would be good to leave an Asgardian on Earth. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 425. Iron Man shamelessly wanted to leave a live dragon battleship for him to study. Xiaoming said, the dragon he subdued is his pet and partner. How could he slice it for you? There are several pieces of dragon corpses in New York City. If you want to study, go study the corpses. Although Xiaoming stuffed a lot of complete dragon corpses into Guangmingding, there will always be some that slip through the net. Xiaoming did not have enough time to collect all the corpses. He did pick up some Chitauri flying vehicles. The characteristic of diligent picking up and managing the family has been deeply rooted in Xiaoming. Besides, this motorcycle-like thing can fly in the sky, how practical. This thing has piled up into a small mountain in Guangmingding. Xiaoming was unwilling to give it up, and Iron Man had no choice. Moreover, Iron Man's main energy should still be focused on the scepter, and the dragon is just a supplement. Iron Man certainly did not go too far for himself. Politicians on Earth will definitely covet these dozen dragons. The Avengers are not confident that the governments of various countries will command the dragon warships. And Xiaoming is unlikely to obey their command. Therefore, it is best not to put Lance and the dragons in the open. Who knows what stupid behavior these politicians will do? This Lance Jacob is not a good person to talk to. If he is angry, the countries will be in trouble. If all these dragons are taken to Asgard, the government will not have any trouble, but the Earth will lose a large part of its space combat power. You must know that these dozen dragon warships are the few things on Earth that can fly directly into space. After everyone's discussion, it was decided that Xiaoming, Lance, would lurk in the depths of the ocean with the dragons. Avoid the detection of various forces on Earth. At the same time, maintain contact with the Avengers. If such a major incident occurs again, the Avengers can ask Lance for support. However, Lance did not join the Avengers as an independent individual. In principle, he is still an accessory of Thor. If Asgard breaks off relations with the Earth, then Lance will leave the Earth immediately. As for where to go, it is hard to say. Before Lance took the dragons away, Iron Man made a suggestion, temptation, to Xiaoming. There are many cabins on the Chitauri dragon warships, which were originally filled with Chitauri soldiers and aircraft. Now they have all become corpses and wreckage. Without these things, the dragon's combat effectiveness is not very strong. It is just thick skin and solid armor, and can crash everywhere. It doesn't even have long-range attack means. The weakness is very large. Iron Man is willing to help Xiaoming equip flying robots in exchange for the control of several of the warships. Xiaoming said he would consider it. After sending away the two brothers Thor, he took the dragon warship and left New York in the chaos. How could you expect others not to see more than a dozen dragons flying in the sky? The military, police and citizens of New York cheered enthusiastically for the dragons that were going away. The common people saw clearly that these dragons were the heroes of this battle. Countless people why in their hearts, what exactly is the reason that made these alien creatures abandon the dark and join the light? Could it be that they were inspired by our democracy and freedom and resolutely threw themselves into the arms of America? Many writers began to conceive new stories, with these dragons as the protagonists. How to describe their mental journey and the grievances and hatreds in their alien life. No matter how they are written, these dragons will be the great and glorious protagonists. They are friends of the American people and even the people of the earth. But not everyone is kind to the dragons. Several US military planes appeared nearby, but they were obviously hostile and kept shouting at the dragons. Persuasion, coercion, inducement, warnings, all were not lacking, but Xiaoming turned a deaf ear. No time to deal with these people. In the end, until more than a dozen dragon warships dived into the sea, these planes did not make any substantial attacking moves. In fact, Xiaoming did not really put them in the deep sea. Instead, after diving deep enough and far enough, he put all the living dragons into Guangmingding. Guangmingding can hold living things. This is what Xiaoming discovered during the battle. When Xiaoming was picking up the body of the dragon, he found that he had stuffed some seriously injured but still alive Chitauri into Bright Summit. In the main game of Magic Planet, Bright Summit cannot hold living things. Xiaoming has never tried to hold living things in the Secret Realm. I really didn't expect that it could be possible in Marvel's Secret Realm. The reason is very simple. There are too many players in the main game, and using Bright Summit to transport troops will affect the balance of the game. But Marvel's Secret Realm is different. There will not be too many players in total, and there are many tricks that can be used to transport troops in the Secret Realm. It doesn't matter if there is one more Xiaoming. Xiaoming will have fun in Marvel's Secret Realm in the future. Seeing that several hours have passed in the Secret Realm, Xiaoming no longer stays and saves the file to exit. When exiting, the system settles and rewards a universal item Loki's dagger. It is almost universal in all secret realms of Magic Planet and the main game. The level is a level 6 weapon, which can only be used by Xiaoming. Its power will be adjusted according to different secret realms. Such high-level weapons are almost indestructible at this stage. With Xiaoming's ability of every second counts, Xiaoming can kill even a level 6 soldier. I told you, Xiaoming will definitely hold on to the end. Xiaoming just woke up from the special operations room and heard Zhao Yongmen's loud voice. Zhao Yong turned around and put his hands on Xiaoming's shoulders, saying loudly, Brother, you are really a lucky star. What is a lucky star? Xiaoming looked at Zhao Yongmeng innocently. Captain Zhou Ben explained. The mission we carried out was actually very difficult, but most of us passed it successfully this time. This has never happened before. This guy surnamed Zhao insisted that it was your good luck. But you were indeed the last one to come out. Is there anything you need to report? Before Xiaoming thought deeply, Lu Yinghong took the initiative to say. We just talked about it. It seems that there is a mysterious invisible reinforcement on the player's side. Even the long worm flying in the sky was subdued. Those who were not subdued were also shot down. There are many half-dead Chidori inside. Everyone relied on picking up leaks to get 10 heads to pass the level. As she said, her mouth was deliberately flat. I'm the most unlucky. I picked up 8 heads, but I was accidentally killed by something. I'm so angry. Tell me you didn't pass the test either, I don't want to be the only unlucky one. After she said that, Xiaoming roughly understood. It turned out that everyone was able to pass the test because he played so well. Seeing that everyone was looking at him, Xiaoming spread his hands. Sister Yinghong, I'm sorry I can't do anything, I just passed the test by luck. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 426. During the Battle of New York, the Earth side had the upper hand on the battlefield, so many police officers and even civilians dared to take part in the battle with weapons. There are so many people on the battlefield. The players are all pretending to be characters in the plot, and no one knows anyone else. Xiaoming said something casually, and others could not judge whether it was true or false. In fact, everyone has reservations in their words due to various reasons. This is human nature, let alone a monk who is bald. It doesn't matter if you don't pass, Yinghong, don't be too discouraged, it's just bad luck. Li Lu comforted the only loser with a soft voice. It was indeed a pity for Lu Yinghong this time, as everyone got through easily. If you find anything after that, you may get a commendation from the military. The special mission of the military and the Avengers' secret realm opened by teaming up are not just a simple secret realm in a movie plot. It is the virtual Marvel world in the game. The secret realm of Captain America, one that Xiaoming opened as a civilian before, was a simple secret realm for the movie plot. There aren't many peripheral things for players to discover. The vast universe is just the background. But the Marvel world is different. The universe is no longer a backdrop. In this secret realm, whether it is the 9 kingdoms ruled by Asgard or the universe where several outside empires compete for hegemony, they all exist. In other words, there are endless worlds and treasures waiting for players to discover. It's no wonder that the game system sets the entry barrier so high. Of course, ordinary players are not qualified to open this secret realm. Some people may think, the threshold is not high. How hard could it be to kill 10 Chidori soldiers? Generally, C-level reincarnators can definitely do it. A D-class reincarnation can also do this if they are lucky. How high is this threshold? But the fact is that if you are already a C-level reincarnation, then the real world of reincarnation space is enough for the reincarnation to explore and study. Why go to the trouble of exploring the virtual world in the game? The rewards in the game, even common items, are virtual and cannot be obtained in reality. In the game, all you really get is experience and knowledge. This is also the goal of the military. But the reincarnators are not very interested in this. After all, the secret realm of the game and the mission world of the reincarnation space are different. The main plot and main characters are just fine, but the expanded things become very different from each other. The people and things encountered in the secret realm may not exist in the world of reincarnation. Wrong information can easily trap reincarnators to death. Therefore, most of the reincarnations above sea level are unwilling to enter the secret realm, especially they are not willing to do extensive exploration in the secret realm. I'm afraid it will affect my future performance. The military has no choice but to risk its own low-level soldiers and even reservists. Otherwise, how could Team 33 encounter such a good thing? However, it is undoubtedly difficult for low-level soldiers to break through the threshold set by the system. Both the captain and the instructor understand that the pass rate for this task is really very low. In this special mission, Team 33 actually passed 7 people at once, which probably made the superiors' jaws drop. It goes without saying that the 2 of them have received awards for their meritorious service, and these team members will also be favored by the military. That's right, don't be arrogant in victory or discouraged in defeat, Joe Ben continued excitedly. Follow the instructions from your superiors. As long as you pass the New York battle scenario, the next event will not be started in the short term. Don't slack off, everyone, it's time for us to reflect the true value of a soldier. Our mission is to explore the secret realm and obtain useful information. The Army will give credit to everyone based on the value of the information you provide. I will never treat you badly. Regarding the summary of this secret realm, everyone will submit a report to me at 12 noon tomorrow. Do you understand? Understood, everyone replied in unison, all of them beaming with joy. Although it is inevitable that there are some dirty things within the new Han Dynasty's military. But merit must be rewarded and demerit must be punished, which is relatively fair. Previously, we formed a team to do special tasks, so everyone had to log in together, and the captain had to check the password in person. Of course there will be no need for such trouble in the future. The success of the Battle of New York gave all 7 of them the right to enter the special war room alone. You can come here at any time and enter the Marvel secret realm to open a map, either alone or in a team. There is no need to act together. However, they cannot open other secret realms without the corresponding password. You can only enter the Marvel secret realm. After several hours of fighting, it was already past 3 o'clock in the evening. We had to rest quickly. Everyone left one after another. However, not long after, 2 figures sneaked back again. Entered the special operations room again. The lights came on, it was Xiaoming and Gu Wan'er. They each entered a special game chamber and prepared to start another special mission. Originally, Xiaoming planned to quickly return to his game warehouse and then return to Pangu planet. It's time to spend some time with the little one. But he accidentally discovered a phenomenon. The tactical glasses worn by Xiaoming have very strong functions due to Xiaoming's initial strengthening. Xiaoming clearly felt that if Huang Xiaoming was operating Xiaoming who was wearing glasses, Yin Xiaoming could operate the main body to leave the game room. It will not affect Huang Xiaoming's free activities at all. In other words, Xiaoming's clone is actually Zhang Xiaoming's spare body. You can connect through the game cabin. If you activate the Mind Beast game goddess, you can also possess her without the game cabin. Who told Xiaoming to have an idle soul? But this is not the most important thing. Xiaoming actually thought of it. It's just that he is usually busy and too lazy to possess her. In the transport ship, Xiaoming's body is under the complete surveillance of the military and can't do anything. You have to wait until you reach Quafu Star in the future, then you can have fun. In the past, Xiaoming liked to possess Xiaoming because he could drive a small spaceship to play in space. Now that there is the Insect King, the small spaceship is really boring. It's not at the same level at all. So the number of times he came here has been greatly reduced. Now he knows that he has missed a very important discovery, a new use of 3 heads and 6 arms. Just now, Silver Xiaoming is in the body, Green Xiaoming is on the side of the Insect King, and Yellow Xiaoming is here with Xiaoming. A rare state of 3 souls and 3 bodies. It happened that the Insect King had a sudden impulse and wanted to use the 3 heads and 6 arms. In fact, he wanted to show off in front of his insect subordinates. As a result, both Yan Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming felt the call from Green Xiaoming. After accepting the call, the other two heads that grew out of the insect king's neck turned out to be the heads of Xiaoming's original body and Xiaoming's second clone. Inside were the souls of Yan Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming. What kind of a trick is this? Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 427. Xiaoming was shocked at the time. If his soul could not return to his body because of such a thing, it would be terrible. In a blink of an eye, he found that it was just a false alarm. The main body of Yan Xiaoming's soul was still in his body, and the insect king only transferred a part of his mental power. Yan Xiaoming and Lu Xiaoming can both use the magic of 3 heads and 6 arms on their own bodies. They are both in the late stage of foundation building and have strong spiritual power. Huang Xiaoming has also tried it. He can borrow the spiritual power of other souls to use this magic of 3 heads and 6 arms. Even if the body being operated does not have a trace of spiritual power, the 3 heads and 6 arms can be activated as usual. In the world of immortals, the monsters use their magic to consume their demon power, the cultivators use Taoism to consume spiritual power. Although the demon power and spiritual power are slightly different, the source is the same, both come from the aura of the world of immortals. Only when combined with different bodies can different powers be cultivated. Xiaoming has both a human body and a monster-like body, Insect King, so the spiritual power he cultivates is highly unified and compatible. He can use both Taoist magic and demon magic. The real difficulty of 3 heads and 6 arms is how to effectively control 3 heads and 6 arms. However, Xiaoming's mental power, which was strengthened by the insect race, effectively guarantees this. Therefore, each of the 3 Xiaoming souls can easily control 3 heads and 6 arms, and there is actually a large surplus of mental power. So in the 3 heads and 6 arms of the Insect King this time, Yan Xiaoming and Huang Xiaoming each divided a part of their mental power. Each controls 1 head of the Insect King, and if you want, you can control 2 more arms. What are the benefits of this approach? It just greatly reduces the delay when borrowing energy from each other. Sometimes this delay can be fatal. The most important thing is that when using different source energies, Xiaoming finally doesn't have to switch all the time. And the soul cannot be switched in the secret realm. Xiaoming often only brings 1 or 2 source energies into the secret realm, and he can bring them all in the future. Since the birth of the Insect King, Green Xiaoming has been busy and has not entered the game. To be honest, he has not tried to enter. I guess it should be fine. The green energy has not played a role in the game. Of course, it is mainly because it is not needed. Now Xiaoming's several characters are not weak, so he plans to save the enhancement for future use when needed. For the time being, it is better to have more fun. By the way, if I enter the game or secret realm with 3 heads and 6 arms, how will the system react? Omicron equals omega equals rho. I must try it when I have the chance in the future. Look, the opportunity has come. Hey, wake up, Brother Ming, Brother Ming. What are you daydreaming about? Xiaoming felt his arm being shaken a few times, and when he looked closely, he saw Gu Weiner's hand waving in front of him. Gently pressing her little hand, Xiaoming smiled apologetically, "Sorry, I was distracted." "What did you just say? How can I be distracted when talking to a beautiful woman? Are you scolding me?" Gu Weiner folded her hands, wrinkled her nose, and pretended to be angry. She had a childlike face and a big rabbit face, and it was more obvious when she folded her hands and squeezed. Xiaoming thought that he was really distracted too much, and he almost missed such a beautiful scenery. He quickly said a few good words to ease the atmosphere. However, Xiaoming had been in the Zerg for too long, and the good words became inappropriate. Fortunately, she was not really angry, and she came down with the step Xiaoming gave. Then the two talked about business. Gu Weiner revealed that the secret realm worth exploring is not just the Marvel world. In fact, for ordinary players, the martial arts secret realm is more worth exploring. Learning some martial arts moves is very useful when you are at a low level. Some will not be completely outdated when you reach a high level. After hearing this, Xiaoming immediately thought of Jin Daxia's dozens of works. Could it be that these are also integrated into the system? That should be quite fun. But the actual situation is not so. Everyone knows Jin Daxia's works. If it is made into a game, it is estimated that everyone knows what the plot is like, and the choices will be similar. Dugukaiubai's tomb, the back mountain of Huashan, the cave where the nine yang magic art is hidden, and other famous places must be crowded with people. Is the game still interesting? According to Gu Weiner's news, one of the martial arts secret realms is called the Legend of the Two Dragons of the Tang Dynasty. It is a large secret realm with the background of the late Sui and early Tang dynasties. It is very suitable for players. But the threshold for entry is not low. Gu Weiner has tried several times with different people, but they all returned in failure. Every secret realm battle is very dangerous. What's more troublesome is that players cannot try the same secret realm repeatedly in the game. When you break through the level again, the system will randomly assign another new secret realm. Gu Weiner only had the last 2 or 3 chances left. Today, Zhao Yongmeng joked, "Xiaoming is lucky." The girl remembered it and took the initiative to invite Xiaoming to help her pass the level. The access mechanisms of the two secret realms, the legend of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty and Marvel, are actually different. Marvel means that players have passed a special plot of Marvel and then obtain the right to continue exploring this secret realm. Tang dynasty means that players have to fight in other secret realms and complete the tasks before they can enter the Tang dynasty secret realm. Different settings naturally have different reasons. Players don't need to know why, just do as they are told. Gu Weiner praised the secret realm of the Tang dynasty like a flower, which also aroused Xiaoming's interest. So he followed her back to the special operations room. As for whether Gu Weiner took the initiative to find him this time, whether there was any other intention or plot, Xiaoming didn't care. Anyway, judging from her life energy, she had no intention of hurting him again. That was enough. The game cabin of the Magic Planet uses deformable materials, so even if the player has physical disabilities or deformities, there will be no discomfort. Xiaoming lay down in it, closed the cabin cover, and used his 3 heads and 6 arms. The game cabin easily accommodated the strange-looking Xiaoming. It is really compatible. New Dragon Gate in the last battle. Zhou Huiyan, Qiu Moyan, Jin Xianjiao, and 2 children were trapped in the Dragon Gate Inn by a large number of people from the East Factory. Cao Shaokan, the supervisor of the East Factory, is about to launch a general attack. Everyone is in danger. Fortunately, Diao Baiyu, the butcher of the Dragon Gate Inn, returned and was about to lead everyone to escape from the tunnel. Xiaoming and Gu Weiner are 2 waiters under the boss Jin Xianjiao in Longmen Inn. The player's task is to ensure the survival of the 2 children and cooperate with Zhou Huiyan and others to kill Cao Shaokan, the supervisor of the East Factory. In this secret realm, the player's physical fitness will not exceed level 2. Supernatural energy cannot be used, but there will be an additional bonus to physical fitness. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 428. The secret realm of the new Dragon Gate Inn is full of humans, and Xiaoming's character brother Zhang San can't grow 3 heads and 6 arms. He is just an ordinary inn clerk. Boss lady, all the heroes, brother Zhang San clasped his fists to everyone and said calmly, "Of course it's good to escape through the secret passage. But those donkeys are about to attack. If they come in and see no one, they will chase them in the direction of the border. You 2 legs can still run faster than 4 legs." Zhou Huiyan and Qiu Moyan looked at each other. How could he not understand this truth? Running away together is also a helpless choice. Chiu Moyan was seriously injured, and Zhou Huiyan didn't want to leave her at this time. Even if Moyan was not injured, the two of them stayed here to attract firepower, and it wouldn't delay for long. But they fell into a deadly place. Besides, if both of them were not there, how could they be sure that Jin Zionjiao would still honestly protect the two children? Since it's a life or death situation anyway, it's better to escape together and try your luck with God. In the original novel, they were lucky. Although they were discovered by Cao Shaokan, the supervisor of the East Factory, when they escaped. However, Cao Shaokan was too confident and only brought a few cavalrymen to chase and kill. As a result, his subordinates were killed, and he was killed by Zhou Huiyan because of a moment of carelessness. Although he also took Chiu Moyan's life, his ambition to dominate the world became a dream bubble. During the battle between Cao Shaokan and Zhou Huiyan and others, his army did not know what went wrong and could not catch up. It stands to reason that the empty inn would not delay them for a long time. The biggest possibility is that they lost their way in the strong wind and sand. Xiaoming and Gu Weiner did not know about the original plot. This time, the two of them formed a close cooperative relationship. So they knew each other's identities. In fact, there were only a few people in the inn, and they knew who the player was at a glance. The two discussed and thought that there must be someone in the inn to delay time, and the way to escape could not be smooth sailing, and they must follow people. The two had to split into two groups. So Xiaoming suggested to Zhou Huiyan, "I was originally a hunter. I know a little about mechanisms, traps, hidden weapons, and poisons. Why don't you escape first? I will set up something here, which will definitely delay them for an hour. Make sure you can get out safely." After hearing this, Zhou Huiyan thought that brother Zhang San was going to sacrifice himself to buy time for everyone. It was indeed a chivalrous spirit. He couldn't help but bow to Xiaoming with tears in his eyes. The hero is noble, and we will remember it in our hearts. He wanted to say something else, but was interrupted by Li Saimei, the character of Gu Weiner. "Don't worry, Hero Zhou, brother San is very smart, and nothing will happen. He will catch up after the arrangement. Time is running out, let's set off quickly." Xiaoming is a player and will not die, so Gu Weiner is of course relieved. But Zhou Huiyan didn't know, and thought that he was upright, so he didn't say anything. After Zhou Huiyan and his group went into the tunnel and left, Xiaoming began his performance. He knew it would be best to make some noise at the inn, and bluff to attract the attention of the East Factory army. In this way, the group that escaped would have a better chance of winning. As for how to do it, it was too easy. The game system can suppress supernatural energy, but it will never suppress source energy. Even in the Secret Realm minigame where supernatural energy is absolutely prohibited, Xiaoming can still use source energy. Not to mention here. Of course, Xiaoming only has a few source energy skills, but it is enough. Death Harvest, the inn is full of corpses, including those of the East Factory, the inn staff, innocent guests, and two of the four big bosses of the East Factory. Most of these corpses are martial artists, strong and healthy. Jia Ting and Lu Xiaochuan, the two bosses of the East Factory, are even more powerful. Just use them. In a moment, dozens of strong skeleton soldiers and zombies stood up. Among them, Lu Xiaochuan turned into a skeleton soldier, and Jia Ting was a zombie. Both of them were strong soldiers of level 2. Xiaoming used Zhang Fei's wisdom to command them to raise a huge dust in the inn. He pretended to fight to the bitter end. That was not all, Xiaoming also secretly released a small amount of Mars virus. Seeing the dust rising in the inn from a distance, Cao Shaokan could not sit still. He was afraid that these people would run away. So he ordered a strong attack. Knowing that such a strong attack would cause heavy losses to the East Factory, How could the I am the greatest in the world governor care about the lives of several men? So 2 teams of cavalry and 2 teams of infantry rushed in together, and another 2 teams of cavalry and 4 teams of infantry surrounded the inn outside to prevent anyone from escaping in the chaos. Cao Shaokan continued to sit in the car steadily, without any intention of taking action personally. The East Factory soldiers who rushed into the inn fought with a group of zombie skeleton soldiers in the dust where they could not see their hands in front of their faces. In terms of combat effectiveness, the East Factory soldiers were pretty good, comparable to ordinary skeleton soldiers and zombies. But the biggest feature of the undead army is that they are not afraid of death. After seeing the true face of the enemy, the people of the East Factory were so scared that they waved their swords frantically, fearing that they would be hit by these monsters. For a while, the fighting power did not decrease but increased. Could it be the power brought by fear? However, it was not the real power after all. They could deal with ordinary undead, but the skeleton soldier Lu Xiaochuan and the zombie Jia Ting were not ordinary undead. Fortunately, after being transformed into undead, these 2 were just stronger, but they could not use their martial arts. Several soldiers of the East Factory worked together and barely managed to hold on. And the combat intelligence of the undead army was still too poor. The soldiers of the East Factory gradually learned to fight them, and the situation seemed to be getting better. In addition, Cao Shaokan also felt that the fight inside had lasted too long, and he shot another bead into the air. 1 team of cavalry and 2 teams of infantry rushed up again. They were ready to take human lives. At this time, more than a dozen corpses on the ground suddenly stood up, opened their bloody mouths and ran towards the people of the East Factory to bite. At the same time, some living soldiers of the East Factory also suddenly mutated, and took their accomplices as fresh food without saying anything. This is Xiaoming's Mars virus finally showing its power. In the time of an incense stick, Longmen turned into a hell on earth. At this time, Xiaoming had already escaped far away from the secret passage. Listening to the screams of ghosts and wolves in the inn, the 2 teams of infantry guarding outside the East Factory looked at each other. I don't know what to do. Just now, the supervisor suddenly jumped out of the car, jumped onto the horse, and left with the remaining team of cavalry. Now the 2 little leaders here don't know what to do. Go in to help? A little scared. Go to find the governor? Who will be responsible if the people here run away? The 2 teams of infantry had no choice but to stand here honestly and do nothing. It was not until all the Dongchang soldiers who rushed into the inn turned into zombies and rushed out that they were scared and fled in all directions. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 429. What will be the final outcome of the Dongchang soldiers, the undead army, and the zombies that enter the desert? Xiaoming doesn't care. Anyway, the 9-tailed fox told him that the general secret realm will be closed from the moment the last player leaves. It is completely different from the setting of the reincarnation world. There is no need to worry about whether the zombie virus will cause the destruction of lives and the end of the world. After Xiaoming got out of the exit of the secret passage, he got lost directly. In the past, he had the ability to scan the map and the circle, but Xiaoming never realized that he still had the attribute of being a directionally challenged person. Now that these 2 powerful skills are banned, Xiaoming, this idiot, didn't find where the plot characters were. Until the end of the secret realm. Forget it, let's not be too harsh on him. It's hard to tell the direction in the desert. Normal people can't find the north either. System prompt, players Gu Weiner and Zhang Xiaoming successfully passed the secret realm of the New Dragon Inn. Officially obtained the entry password to the secret realm of the legend of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty. Then 7 strange pictures were arranged in front of Xiaoming. It seems that these 7 pictures are the so-called entry password. But how to use it? Remember, each picture is a portrait, and there are also annotations such as meridians, acupoints, and the flow of internal force. Does it mean that only by practicing one or all of them can you have the right to enter the secret realm of the legend of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty? But the problem is that Xiaoming knows nothing about internal force, and he is even more confused about meridians and acupoints. How to practice? As those who know the legend of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty, we certainly know that these 7 pictures are the famous eternal life secret. It is said that it is a Taoist treasure book made by Guangquanzi. It is also the supreme martial arts book in the legend of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty. Practice all 7 pictures. What an international joke. It is too difficult to practice even one picture. The system cannot make it so difficult for players. As long as the player has seen these pictures, he has obtained permission to enter the secret realm. Most players cannot practice it. But there will be a little impression in the subconscious. This will have a subtle influence on the player's future development and the progress of martial arts. As for how successful it is, it depends on the player's own efforts. Xiaoming couldn't understand the meridian points, Xiaoming didn't recognize the words written on them. But strangely, in the haze, Xiaoming felt that these pictures were not difficult. It seemed that he could practice any of them. Nonsense. Of course it was not difficult for him. Because the Changsheng Ju is related to cultivating immortals, or more precisely, the martial arts of immortals. Xiaoming's cultivation in the late stage of foundation building, how could the martial arts of immortals be difficult for him? Others entered Taoism from martial arts, but he entered martial arts from Taoism. Use spiritual power as internal force, combine basic Qi training Ju and Changsheng Ju. Form different versions of Changsheng Qi training Ju. Now is not the time to be polite. The 3 Xiaoming souls practiced 3 of the pictures respectively. The 7 pictures formed a circle, and Xiaoming didn't know which picture he practiced. He just picked up the ones that he liked and practiced them. The system only showed them these 7 pictures for half an hour. Then they were kicked out of the secret realm. Xiaoming got rid of his 3-headed and 6-armed magical power and got out of the game cabin. Gu Weiner also came out next to him. The two looked at each other and felt that the other seemed to have an inexplicable attraction to themselves. Xiaoming had a deeper cultivation and immediately understood that this was the mutual attraction between the Changsheng Ju. Gu Weiner also practiced a little bit. So she was not very attractive to Xiaoming. But Xiaoming practiced 3 of the pictures, and practiced them with spiritual power. Even if Xiaoming only practiced 1/3 here, Gu Weiner was already blushing and almost couldn't control herself. This attraction has nothing to do with love, but just pure yearning. However, if Xiaoming is interested, Gu Weiner will never refuse at this time. Of course, only when Xiaoming is at this level, the impact on others will be so great. Another important reason is that they have just practiced, and the feeling of each other's breath is the most sensitive. If you miss this village, you will miss this shop. If it was a few days later, no, even just a few hours later, they would not have such a strong feeling for each other. At most, they would just like each other. Xiaoming understood the situation in front of him, but Gu Weiner was still confused. She was approaching Xiaoming step by step. If this continued, something might happen. Xiaoming was not interested in taking advantage of others. He raised his hand and gave her a Bing Xianju, and took advantage of her moment of clarity. He escaped from his heart. On the 28th, the main body, Silver Xiaoming, was mainly accompanying his son in Guangmingding, and took time to wander around the game twice. The insect king Green Xiaoming, of course, continued to look for a place to build a nest, and when he had time, he would go to Guangmingding to rotate with the main body. In order to avoid Gu Weiner, Huang Xiaoming stayed in the game all the time. but he mainly stayed with the deceased and received the baptism of the skull pool. As for the affairs of other characters, they were basically left to the intelligent program. It was not until the evening that Xiaoming came out of the game cabin. Even the report that the captain asked him to submit yesterday, he completed in the game room. Then he sent it to Zhou Ben through the network. This is of course a bit unconventional. However, Xiaoming's situation is quite special, and the military has turned a blind eye to his little things. At this time, Gu Weiner had already sobered up. She took the initiative to find Xiaoming to talk. The two of them tacitly did not mention the attraction between them. However, the relationship between the two has become much closer. From Gu Weiner, Xiaoming learned the ending of the secret place of Longmen Inn. Because Xiaoming's character Zhang Sanji attracted the attention of the East Factory, Cao Shaokan found that their escape time was greatly delayed. Later, Cao Shaokan caught up with them with only a few cavalrymen, Zhou Huiyan, Qiu Moyan, and Jin Xianjiao. In addition, Gu Weiner's character Li Saimei. The four people besieged Cao Shaokan, and the butcher who escorted the two children to escape also killed back. The five people finally killed this powerful enemy. She didn't tell the details of the battle process, and it seemed that she was reserved. Xiaoming was the same. When talking about how he delayed the East Factory army, he could only stammer. This was also because the two had a friendship, and they didn't want to make up some decent lies to deceive each other. Deliberately acting like this means that I am not convenient to tell the truth, but I don't want to deceive you. Let's keep it tacit. With a pucci, Gu Weiner finally couldn't help laughing. Brother Ming, let's stop pretending. Do you want to go into the legend of the twin dragons together? Xiaoming also laughed. Okay, looking at the name of this secret realm, the legend of the twin dragons, maybe it's really better for two people to enter together. Maybe there will be some adventures. That makes sense, let's go and give it a try. Gu Weiner pulled Xiaoming and left. Go straight to the special operations room. Magic Planet Online Game. Author, Lanzai Cai Shi Zhen Shen. Chapter 430. After such a great effort, Xiaoming did not get much surprise after entering the secret realm of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty. Although all kinds of supernatural energy can be used in this secret realm. However, the system also explained that the martial arts and magic power of the twin dragons of the Tang dynasty are at a medium level. Players can only use some low-level supernatural skills, and their power will be limited. For example, low-level magic fireball can be released, but the power is so strong that even a medium-level expert can block it with a weapon. As for dealing with real masters, they can't break their body protection chi. And the recovery of supernatural energy will be much slower. So in this secret realm, it is better to use martial arts. If you don't know how, find a way to learn it. This is still good for Xiaoming. His source energy skills are of course not restricted. Most of the other special skills are also low level and can be used, but the power is a little bit worse. What really can't be used is fairy magic and sorcery, which are too high. Not to mention the magic of 10,000 swords, 3 heads and 6 arms, even the sword control and 5 elements of Taoism are difficult to use. That is, the Lin family swordsmanship, Lin family whip method, flying dragon exploring cloud hand, and ice heart method, which can be classified as martial arts, are not specifically prohibited in the secret realm. Among the skills of mental power, mental communication, mental shield, and map scanning can barely be used. But the power is much reduced. The range of scanning the map is obviously limited. But it can scan 100 miles, which is enough. Zerg's subjugation seems to be usable. Xiaoming subjugated several pigeons, crows and wild dogs. Through the weakened version of mental communication, Xiaoming can receive some of the sounds they hear and the images they see. Very practical. Alchemy is a bit horrifying in this secret realm. So it can only be used in a limited way. It is impossible to transform one substance into another, it is still possible to change the shape of the original substance. Telekinesis is allowed to be used in small amounts to strengthen itself. Skills such as round condensation can also be used. But the Mind Beast was banned by the system, which destroyed most of Xiaoming's abilities. Because of this, without the butler, Guangmingding could not be opened at all, but Kunlun could still be opened normally. The same is true for the small universe. It can strengthen itself. I want to use a move of Lushan Zhenglongba, but it's impossible. Although there are such a big restriction, Xiaoming is still full of confidence, because Xiaoming still has an advantage that is not restricted. Or, that is the advantage created by Xiaoming himself. Use spiritual power as internal force. This method causes Xiaoming's every move to be several times more powerful than normal. Similar to the fairy chakra in Naruto. And by using spiritual power as internal force, Xiaoming is born with a very high realm. It's just that he doesn't know many martial arts moves. With this strength, it is basically enough in this world. The system did not realize Xiaoming's prediction. Xiaoming and Gu Weiner, who entered at the same time, were randomly assigned to different places. Xiaoming was also thrown directly into the deep mountains and old forests in the past few hours. In addition to studying his own abilities, he spent all his time trying to find the way out. In the end, he still didn't get out. Xiaoming was a little upset and logged off directly. After logging off, he realized, no, the feeling just now was different from other secret realms. He was not attached to the plot character. Instead, it felt like he had entered the main game of Magic Planet. The system generated a character that looked exactly like Xiaoming himself. Xiaoming quickly logged on again to confirm. Sure enough, it was like this. And the name of this character was actually Zhang Xiaoming. What does the system mean? Aren't you afraid of leaking the player's information? Xiaoming wondered. But since the game is set up like this, there is nothing we can do. Later, Xiaoming also discovered that there was no identification technique in the secret realm of Datang Shuanglong Xuan, and players could not confirm whether another person was a player or an NPC. Players all wore ancient costumes. As for names, players can also report pseudonyms. Others can't tell. The only thing that can be identified is appearance. If you meet someone who knows you, there is nothing you can do. Today's luck didn't seem to be on Xiaoming's side. He wandered around the Shuanglong secret realm for several hours but didn't get anything. Xiaoming didn't believe in evil, so he ran to the Marvel secret realm again. Xiaoming put on the invisible suit, dived from the depths of the sea, and entered New York City again. New York City, which had just experienced a war, was in a mess. Xiaoming wandered around for more than half an hour, but didn't get any useful information. It seemed that he really couldn't do it alone, so Xiaoming released 10 agent uniforms and 10 ordinary shadow clones, and sent them out to collect intelligence. With their strength, they should be able to survive for a long time. Xiaoming certainly couldn't wait for them to come back, so after releasing the clones, he exited the secret realm. It's not easy to explore this special secret realm, and Xiaoming is actually a little impatient. Just take it slowly. What's more, he has now found a way to cheat. Use the shadow clone to explore the secret realm, and you can leave and do other things. Even if the player exits, the shadow clone can still wander around the secret realm normally. This move seems to be usable in the main game, right? Why didn't I think of it before? After the shadow clone is automatically released or killed, even if Xiaoming is not in the game cabin, he can still receive the feedback from the clone smoothly. However, no matter how many shadow clones are released, they actually consume Xiaoming's own chakra and telekinesis. So the total number is still limited. Special Agent Beast shadow clones, at most 10, are now in the Avengers' secret realm. 4 ordinary ninjutsu shadow clones, Xiaoming has no problem releasing 1 or 200. So he placed 20 to 30 around each of the 4 characters in the main game. Some stayed there to protect the characters, while others dispersed to all directions to get information. In fact, there have always been a certain number of shadow clones practicing in Guangmingding. Huang Xiaoming himself ran to Zhang Xiaoliang and was studied by the military. By the way, entertain the light spirits that gathered from all directions. With the appearance of yellow source energy, Xiaoming seemed to have a tacit understanding with the light spirits. If there are light spirits in the vicinity, even if they are invisible, Xiaoming can feel it. At the same time, whether Xiaoming wants to feed the light spirits can also feel it. Now they will only appear beside Xiaoming after Xiaoming clearly sends out the signal of summoning. Very sensible. Of course, if Xiaoming refuses to feed for a long time, they will also send out signals that they want to eat. These guys are really straightforward. Xiaoming received too many signals today, so he switched to Zhang Xiaoliang to feed him. To be honest, Xiaoming felt like he was feeding stray cats and dogs. Alas, it would be great if they could understand things earlier. They wouldn't have exposed themselves to the new Han Kingdom Space Army.